We're going to look at some of the upgrades for the Pureten Alpha 1/10 scale Nitro 4-wheel drive touring car from Kyosho, also sold by De Agostini in the Nitro Racer monthly paper part build process. So some of the upgrades you can do to that chassis is to fit this GX15 big block, which is a bigger displacement version of the engine as standard, and it's got a bigger cooling head to dissipate that extra performance. A fair bit more torque off these, not so much more revs, but it does move the car significantly quicker. Often the GX15, which was found in the Alpha GP3 late models, is paired with this tuned exhaust system to get the most out of it. And later issues of the Nitro Racer series also sold this exhaust as a tuning system, being an expansion chamber tuned pipe type design. This does get quite a lot more power out of the 12 and the 15 engines, so this is probably your best worthwhile power mod upgrade. If you've got a Pureten Alpha, try and get yourself one of these pipes. Easy to fit on standard 2-bolt flange, and then a chassis mounting to where there is a screw on the chassis available. Now, a super rare upgrade, super rare, hardly ever come across these, only one before in the last 7 years, is the 2-speed transmission. Now they're probably rare because they often get stripped out, but this one's in good condition, not overly worn on the bell. But you can see they managed to package in that space a 2-speed transmission. So you've got a first gear and then a second gear, which kicks in at a certain engine RPM. There's inside this arrangement is a centrifugal clutch system. So once it gets spinning at a certain speed, it locks out the bigger gear, and then that's the gear ratio I'll be using. This little hole here, not sure if you can see in there, you can see one of the pins that flicks out. Let's see what we can find. But you can normally adjust the RPM you want that to kick in with a small grub screw. You turn some stuff and you turn that screw, and that it chooses where it kicks in. Here it is. There's a small 1.5mm grub screw in there, and so you can actually tune at what speed this kicks in. So it's a really serious performance upgrade, depending, tunable to the area you're using. So you can either have it a lot of sharp acceleration and it hold that first gear if you've got short straights, and then just a long straight, or you can get it to engage the second gear early on if you want that higher tops. I want it to use the torque to get the higher top speed. Pretty rare. I'd say these are rare enough. You don't want to run them too much because you're not going to find another one or get hold of one. But if you cherish your Alpha or really want to get an experience of that, this is the bit to find, the rare 2-speed transmission. Let's have a quick look inside this 2-speed transmission. This is what it looks like. You've got 2 gears on one-way bearings. The smaller gear, which would be your first gear, engages, the bigger gear, which is your first gear, engages the shaft initially. So you're pulling away at that shorter gear ratio, which gives you the acceleration. The smaller gear, which gives you the higher top speed, once the engine is at a certain RPM, is activated by 2 pins flicking out from this metal. They flick out with centrifugal force, or in this case just one actually. There's just one pin that flicks out and it engages this tab here, this dog really, it's called a dog, and then it locks that second gear in motion, at a certain RPM. So I'm not sure if we can just carefully see. I've got to get it apart. In here there's a dark metal piece in there, and that's the tab that flicks out. So it's sort of spring loaded lightly in, and as RPM overcomes the spring force, it moves out into this gap, hits this tab and locks in that second gear. That's why you get that really aggressive change up sound, which sounds pretty awesome when you're going and you hear that significant jump in change in note as the engine changes load as that tab's engaged there. And as I was saying before, through this hole in the side, you've got to rotate the central shaft to where the adjuster point is. You can just about see the two there, so you can stick your Allen key in there, put some preload on this grub screw to change the engagement point. That's how these two-speed transmissions work.